Prolific fantasy author Brandon Sanderson is changing the audiobook publishing business for the good, and this could affect every author publishing audiobooks to the Audible platform. In 2022, Brandon shocked the world when he publicly shared his plans to avoid publishing to the audiobook retail platform Audible. The author community applauded Brandon's stand against Audible for what he said, "The deal Audible demands of authors is unconscionable, and I'm hoping that providing market forces and talking about the issues with a megaphone will encourage change in a positive direction." Regardless if you know who Brandon Sanderson is or not, just know that he has massive influence in and around the author community. To share the gravity of the situation, Sanderson broke a crowdfunding record through Kickstarter when he raised over, ready for this, $41 million from about 185,341 backers. The closest anyone comes to that record was $20 million back in 2015. Now, Brandon consciously excluded distribution of his audiobooks through Audible to influence positive change in the imbalanced royalty structure and the lack of transparency in sales reports. But was he successful? Audiobook Creation Exchange, also known as ACX, offers a paltry 25 to 40% royalty per sale of audiobooks sold through Audible, Amazon, and Apple. In the State of the Sanderson 2022 article, Brandon shared how the current industry standard for a digital product is to pay the creator 70% on a sale. In comparison, brick-and-mortar stores take around 50% per sale versus Audible, where you get 10 to 25% less. Audiobooks that remain exclusive to ACX get 40%, whereas non-exclusive distribution gives a sad 25%. This royalty structure wasn't always this way. Up till early 2014, ACX used to work on a tiered system where you get 50% per sale that could escalate to 90% based on unit sales. That was a really good incentive for a lot of rights holders. So what went wrong? Did ACX have a change of heart? Did Amazon intervene and decide it was better to take more than they gave? I'm not entirely sure, but folks with the ACX headquarters might know better. Add to it, the sales reports are often archaic and do not accurately represent what rights holders are making clearly. And let's not forget that ACX also controls how much an audiobook costs based on total length as opposed to total value. Audiobook distribution platforms like Findaway Voices, Authors Republic, and Publish Drive allow rights holders to set the retail price, not the other way around. I just think it's stupid. I've never been a fan of setting the price of an audiobook based on length and wish they'd just go do away with that altogether. But that's an argument I'll have to save for another day. Brandon's stand against Audible's egregious royalty structure and the lack of transparency must have worked, at least from what we know from his latest post on March 5th, 2024, called Regarding Audible. I'll give you the TLDR, but I highly recommend visiting the link in the description to get unfiltered access to what Brandon shared. Number 1, Brandon successfully drew attention to audiobook royalties favoring distributors over authors. He reiterated what he had said 2 years ago and still stands behind it. He shared his conflicted feelings because he appreciates the staff at Audible, but doesn't like the hand they're dealing to rights holders. Number 2, Audible has presented a new royalty structure for independent authors and small publishers. This part we don't entirely know just yet. Brandon states it's far from perfect, but perfect from far. He mentioned how his idea of a fair deal was 70% royalty per sale and that it won't happen, but Audible is planning to roll out an improved royalty structure for rights holders. He further stated that these improvements are going to be larger than 2% increases. Okay, so at least we know that ACX will not insult us with a meager increase in royalties. That's good. However, he also shared that the differences between exclusive and non-exclusive royalties would be about the same. Number 3, this new structure will include improved minimum royalty rates, monthly payments, and a more transparent allocation of funds. The system will effectively track the division of money between books purchased with a credit and books listened to through Audible Plus. It's always been tough to tell how much you make per sale because in sales reports, you're just told how many units sell and not how. For instance, a la carte purchases are when a customer buys the audiobook at full retail value. Then there are membership credits where you're paid based on the credit used in Audible membership. And then there's the membership discount where members can forego using credits for a percentage off the full retail cost. And I'm not even touching the issues with refunds that started a dumpster fire back in 2020 that spawned the Audiblegate fiasco. You want more details about that? Visit audiblegate.com. It'll send your eyebrows. They have some information that'll give anyone heart palpitations. And number 4, Brandon still acknowledges that there may still be some issues with the final product, but sees this as a step forward for all authors. Again, it's not perfect, but definitely headed in the right direction. Brandon has spent the last year working with the folks at Audible and other audio distributors, pushing them to step up, and he stated, "I hope this wake-up call would prompt change. I didn't refuse to put my books on Audible out of retribution or to declare war. I did it because I wanted to shine as powerful a light as I knew how on a system that highly favored the audio distributors over the authors. I was convinced that the people at Audible really did love books and writers, and that with the right stand taken, I would encourage them toward positive change." Now, to be clear, these changes haven't taken effect yet, nor do we have a timeline. We just know that these changes are coming sometime in 2024, with Brandon testing the new system within the next month or so. He made it clear to Audible that he wasn't just looking for a fair deal for himself, but for the author community at large. Over the past few years, I've slowly removed most of my titles from distribution through ACX. While some authors are happy getting a pittance for their audiobook production, I'm a little more picky about how I'm paid and the way I'm treated. Audiblegate was enough to put a bad taste in my mouth, so it was encouraging to see a famous author standing up for everyone, even sacrificing potentially millions in sales he could have otherwise made through Audible. For me, a fair deal would include at least a 50% royalty for non-exclusive access, making it competitive with Spotify's 50% non-exclusive access through Findaway Voices. For exclusive agreements, audiobooks should get at least 70%. After all, we're foregoing distribution to other major platforms and library systems. If you want to get into libraries, you can't get that through ACX. Make it worthwhile here, folks. Also, let's get rid of this arbitrary pricing system. I'm sure the nerds at Amazon know what customers want, but what customers want and what rights holders need sometimes don't line up. I'm okay with getting fewer audiobook sales if I price it higher than what Amazon deems as ideal. Let me be responsible for the pricing. You just worry about putting my audiobook in the marketplace. That's it. And the reports are a far cry from what they were in the Audiblegate fiasco, but still need some serious improvements. If I can't clearly understand what's getting bought and from where, how will I know what to market and promote? All that aside, transparency fosters a healthy relationship between businesses. If ACX has nothing to hide, they need to be a lot more forthcoming about sales made through Audible. Now, what do you think would be a fair deal for authors publishing audiobooks through ACX onto Audible? Are you okay with the lower than normal royalties? Do you mind not having control over pricing? And what are your thoughts about their sales reports? Hit me up inside the comments. Till later, YouTube told me that you're going to possibly want to watch this very next video. Or you can check out this video right down here. I'll see you in either one.